This meeting is being recorded.
It's so loud on your end. All right, in 3, 2. What's up, Naomi? How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. You are in, where are you at right now?
I am in Cabo, Mexico.
Y-
Sunny, like completely different than New York, and I could not be happier.
What are you doing in Cabo?
I am taking a couple days to relax. I kind of booked this trip like a couple months ago, just knowing how I operate, love to travel. And I was like, you know what? Probably a few weeks before the opening, I am going to feel crazy. I'm going to relax at the beach with like a margarita in hand, guacamole on the other side, and call it like a day. And that's exactly what I've
Not
been
even any chips, just guacamole.
doing. And I'm
Wow, man.
very happy.
How many days have you been there for?
Mm, 3, and I'm leaving tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
break it
super
down to me.
short.
How's it been going? Like day one, you got there, what happened?
Oh, day 1 got here, got delayed, typical New York, but came, like, immediately, picked up, like, a beer from, like, the lobby and just, like, sat by the beach, watched the sunset, and, like, actually ran into a friend from college out here, so that was, like, very, very random, haven't seen
Yeah.
him since, like, I graduated in 2011 or something. So him and a few friends were like at a hotel down the street. I was able to grab some drinks and it was just like nice and beautiful. And then just spent the past couple of days like relaxing by myself. I'm here solo. Like I didn't bring anyone else along. And like honestly, just having that time to myself, like without the chaos of like New York City and just like all these responsibilities, just felt like so, so nice.
That's not scary, like going to Mexico by yourself?
I mean, I'm at a resort, so
Oh,
no,
okay. Yeah,
not traveling.
Cabo's nice. Cabo's nice, but like if you're like, we're going to Guanajuato, like you know what I mean? In
Yeah, no,
random,
not trying to do any of that.
yeah,
Definitely just stay at the resort, and, honestly, that's just how I reset. I'm, like, such a water baby, so just being by the beach and just, like, chilling out has always been, like, the way for me to kind of, like, calm down and, like, get back to normal, and I can say after, like, 48 hours of being here, I am feeling so good.
yeah. You know, they say like we need to be around big bodies of water, right? Like they say
Mm,
that in order for us to be calm or reset or something. I heard about
I mean,
that.
that would make a lot of sense. I wish I would be by some body of water, but I'm in the Northeast. At
Oh
least you're in
yeah, never
Canada.
mind. Yeah, yeah, never mind. Here in the okay. So then what do you normally do then? So like when you reset, you are what? You're like just plant because I know you're working there too. You said right? You brought your laptop and
Yeah, yeah, I think it was just more of, like, honestly, an environment shift. It wasn't really to, like, try to see something new. I wasn't trying to, like, go on experiences or anything. I don't have, like, a warm beach anywhere near me this time of year in, like, the Northeast,
Mhm.
so this is kind of, like, the only place to go. So I just sat out by, like, the water, had the laptop ready. I was, like, sending a bunch of emails, just trying to figure things out. If y'all remember, I had, like, a flood kind of happen in my space like a couple weeks ago, so I've been navigating that and like taking those phone calls and like all that stuff, but it was just like easy in a way to like be able to deal with that for 30 minutes while sitting in my laptop and then like close the laptop, go into the pool or the water and then like come back out and then do another bout. It was just like a good balance for me and I
what's been
really
the
really needed it.
yeah, that's good. That's good. What's been the best thing you've eaten there so far?
Oh, oddly enough, sushi.
No, oh really?
Yeah, I
No,
know.
that's not weird. That's not weird. That's it's near water. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, no, the fish has just been, like, so fresh, like, I'm lucky that in New York City, like, we have a lot of good sushi, but it also comes at, like, a price point, but here it's
mm,
just, like, it's fresh, it's good, and, like, just having, like, some good Mexican beer, like, on the side, it's just it's, like, amazing, and then I'll say probably the fish tacos.
yeah. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
anything
Okay.
fishes.
Yeah, anything with fish in it. That's good. So you've been working right now, like kind of like bring us up to speed on that. How's that flood coming along?
Um, so it's been like an interesting process to navigate because not many people kind of like deal with this sort of stuff. The other problem is like usually you kind of expect like your general contractor, your landlord and construction and all of that to like know how to handle this stuff. I'm sure it comes about in like their daily, but I've been
Hmm.
having a lot of issues with my landlord during this entire process. So he took like his time with like not putting a claim through. His construction team that handled the space behind me didn't put claims and like we kept pushing. The problem is like my side wouldn't put a claim in unless they put in a claim. So just trying to like navigate all of that with like, oh my gosh, do I have to involve a lawyer now? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? And like finally I was able to basically I'm so thankful for my construction team, Beacon. Like they've been honestly like not just holding my hand, but like my biggest supporters and like really helping me and being on my side. They were finally able to get them to like put in a claim. We that meant like I could finally file also like through my insurance. And now I've been given the go ahead that like my side can go ahead and start construction immediately. So I don't think I'm going to have a delay in opening, which is like my biggest fear.
So right now there's been a delay in construction though.
Yeah, for the past 2 weeks, we haven't done like anything, but Beacon has been like really good about like just they were like, listen, all we need is someone to confirm that we're going to get paid. Like that's all they needed. Obviously, like in my loans, like I have a limited amount, so I can't like be going after them and giving them this money. So it really needed to come through an insurance company, and it should have come through the landlord or the landlord's construction. So now it's going to come through my side, and then my side's just going to battle their insurance companies in order to get paid properly.
So is it the landlord that's being kind of like, or is it the insurance company of the landlord?
No, it was the landlord and the
Mhm.
landlord's construction company. Both of them were involved in like the space behind me. And from the emails, my understanding or speculation, I should say,
Mhm.
is he has like a $25,000 deductible. So I think if a claim were to go through and like my repairs are looking to be approximately almost $45,000 worth of repairs, um, that's, obviously a big chunk that they're going to be having to pay for, but it kind of is what it is. It wasn't
Yeah,
my fault. So,
yeah. He kind of. I mean, it's either that or pay the 45,000.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Well, that's what they were trying to do it originally. They were trying to avoid insurances and have his construction team fix things. First of all, after that mistake, why the heck would I even do that? And like,
yeah.
secondly, and then also, when you're going through all of this, you have warranties with like the various contractors who were like hired during the process. So if his team touched the plumbing, that plumbing would no longer have warranty. And so when something does happen to it, because let's be real, something will,
Mhm.
um, who am I supposed to go after to fix it? Like without like it costing me like a pretty penny. So it was just like way more complicated. I just feel my landlord's also on the younger end. Something I just like never really considered during this process.
Mhm.
Obviously younger doesn't always mean that's a bad thing, but I am realizing like his lack of experience sometimes in this like is probably not the best. He comes in from like a very like financial point of view, like young, going after it, and I just think if they dealt with this before, it would have been handled a lot quicker.
How young?
I'm 34. I'm pretty sure he's like late 20s, early 30s. Like this landlord is yeah, like very young. But this landlord
Roshan? No, I'm just kidding. Is it? I was gonna say, is it Roshan Kara? But I'm messing with you. You know who that is?
No, but I was like, who
Okay.
are you calling out right now?
No, so he's younger then.
Me or something.
No. He's younger then.
Oh yeah, very young, but he's
Hmm.
part of the family company. His family is like a big construction company in this part of Connecticut and parts of New York. So, he just joined the family business and probably is dealing with their commercial units mostly.
Yeah, I can only imagine how tough that is. So then let me ask you, what are your claims then? Like, what is gonna happen if I guess their insurance company, because if he's like, no, I don't want to pay that huge deductible, are you gonna go to?
Well, that was a problem. I was gonna have to be ready to sue him. And like I've been in this scenario with him twice already where I was on the brink of having to do this. And it's
Mhm.
just tiring to constantly be like battling for something that could just be so simple if you're just like a normal, good human.
Yeah.
Um, so if he didn't put the claim through, it was gonna be involving lawyers and most likely some form of like litigation, suing. Like I don't even know what direction it would have gone on, but definitely lawyers would have had to get involved.
So
So
all
yeah.
this is kind of happening, and you're in Mexico chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, this past week has been this back and forth. Like, are we supposed to do this? Are we not supposed to do this? Like, luckily, like the people who put my builder's risk policy into place have been like fabulous also. Um, Shout out to them, honestly. They've been like so kind and like so helpful. Um, they were helping me navigate. Everyone knew I was like going to be going away, so they've been like in contact with me and like all of that. And I honestly, I just couldn't be more grateful. So while I've been here in Mexico, we finally got to the point that I was able to put a claim through my insurance, but that's only because in this past week, Beacon, my construction team, finally got my landlord and his company to put a claim through. And so we were able to get those policy numbers and everything.
That's cool. So Beacon's fighting for you then. Right.
Yeah, hardcore. Like, I mean, you keep hearing like how much your GCs like matter, the general contractors matter like during this process. And without even knowing anything, I'm a newbie. I don't really know a lot of people who have done startups personally. So like finding someone who was like very dental experience really mattered to me because obviously we all have like plumbing that's so heavily involved and I didn't want that part to get screwed up. But I think just connecting with your GCs like during the interview process and like I've been honest with them like the entire time. Like whenever I've like had health, like my family's had health issues, like, hey, I'm gonna be out of contact. Hey, like I've just built up this relationship with them that like I'm so grateful for. And I think honestly they would probably do that for anyone. So shout out to Beacon.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Okay, so then besides that, I guess before, because it's been like about a week, what was happening before that?
This back and forth of just getting the landlord to take responsibility. Like it was first we were just trying to figure out how bad the damages were. The problem is this all happened pretty much the day before Christmas Eve. So to get people in on Christmas Eve plus Christmas plus like the day
Mhm.
after Christmas, like that was like what was probably also causing part of the lag. We just weren't getting responses from like the people that we needed to. Then it was like my landlord was motivated by the fact that if I had a delay in opening, he knew what that meant on his end. So he kept trying to push the construction company that had or slash his construction company to kind of like take responsibility and just kind of put things off of him. But then they weren't doing that. They were talking to their insurance company. And it was just this like back and forth with like all the insurance companies saying this one thing, landlord not doing his thing, finally talking to his insurance company, then them coming to us saying like it needs to go through your insurance company. And it was just this like annoyance of this like communication that could honestly have just been handled had like people had the right experience.
Gotcha. Okay, well, now you're
Whatever.
getting it. Now you're getting it. What's gonna happen now? Now, like you fly home the day after tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to be flying home and then basically what's been good about like I guess this quote unquote delay is Beacon has lined up everybody. So all they needed was the go ahead. So they have all the people coming through um with the flooring, the like just basically anything that got damaged. They have it all ready to go. So they don't anticipate any more than a week for all of this to be fixed. And then we're expecting the inspector to
Mhm.
come in, let's see, like after the long weekend, which that means I can get my certificate, which means I can get going. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that was like the holdup. I think if it would have been pushed back past this week, though, I would have been delayed.
When are you opening? When are you scheduled to open?
February 8th,
It's like in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks.
4 weeks, literally a month.
Man.
Freaking out, yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna all come pretty fast. What are you doing right now to, well, I guess we'll talk about that in a later episode, but just really quick. Are you building a wait list like of new patients?
A little bit, yeah. I think the hardest part was like with this, with this like flood, I didn't know when I was gonna open, and I just really didn't, especially with kids and like school schedules and stuff. I thought it would have
Mm.
been really poor of me to like been like, hey, let me schedule you. Oh, just kidding. I won't be open. So I've been struggling trying to like balance out like, oh, do I start Facebook ads? Do I not? So I've just been like very gently like posting on like Instagram mostly and on our Facebook business page. But now that I have the confirmation, pretty much going to move forward with like Facebook ads starting like next week, like hardcore, building out like the awareness and strategy like behind that. And yeah, so the wait list is like forming. I think I've had like 5 or 6 people reach out already. Just I think organically. Luckily, I've already started getting referrals from that um, pediatric therapy group right across the hallway from me,
Mhm.
which I have to already say thank you to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think once I get back, it's going to be like literally going in, starting to ground market, starting to do like all of those things now to build out that awareness.
Yeah. How are you gonna
Yeah.
say thank you to them?
Um, so I have like these like handmade totes like made, I'm gonna probably just like they're gonna be a huge referral source. So I think just immediately just giving like a more personal touch, like of things that like matter enough to me. I'm planning on giving like a tote referral and like some like goodies like in there to most of the people like in the area. But I think specifically for them, I'm gonna go a little bit bigger and just be like, hey, you're going to be giving me business. I'm going to be giving you business. I want like a really good symbiotic relationship. Like, here's something for already believing in me without even knowing me. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like go in there, talk to them. You know what I mean? Maybe they're like, oh, I like wine. And then you're like,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah, exactly. I haven't had that chance yet. Every single time I've gone into the build out, I haven't been able to like find anyone, but I now have their emails and everything because the landlord just finally forwarded everyone who's in the building to me. So I'm gonna just like send out, hello, we're gonna be coming to the building. Would love to meet you. Let's like chat.
Yeah. That's gonna be
Yeah,
really cool. Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. So you're building the wait list, all that stuff is happening. By the way, real quick, if you want, look up Roshan Kalra. He's just a dentist, practice owner, and he owns a lot of real estate. So that's why I named him. He's a really cool guy, just in case you're listening, Roshan. But okay.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna
Yeah.
look.
Let's talk about now location of your practice.
Yes,
It's
yes, yes, yes.
probably super crucial, right? When it comes to
Yeah.
location. If you can paint us a picture, where on the block, how does it look like your practice? Where located wise?
So it's in Darien, and Connecticut specifically has like a very like a main street that almost goes like through most of like the state, and it's called Post Road. I'm off of that, and I'm also right off of the highway. So
Okay.
that was kind of like important factors to me just because like I'm going to be treating kids, school buses, parents are going to be picking them up from school. You want something that like they're going to be using really quickly and able to like get to you right away. You don't want to be too inwards.
Hmm.
So that was like one of the key factors in terms of like traffic for me, just trying to find a space that was like accessible to most families. um and then Connecticut, at least like in the area that I'm in, I can't really speak to like northern as
Hmm.
much, but it's not a lot of foot traffic. You can kind of get like maybe, those drive-by strip mall vibes somewhere, but it also comes at like a cost of like not enough parking. Is it going to be like easy to get into because like it's more inward once again? And like I'm going to be having people who need a lot of cars. Like I don't have public transportation or anything like in my town. So I need something that has like a lot of parking and all that stuff. So I found a medical building. So I won't have that like foot traffic marketing like in a way. But then on top of it, I have it internal marketing, just like from all the different businesses in there. So there was like a lot of layers to kind of figure out like what was going to be the right location for me.
Is there another like dental office in there in the medical
Yeah.
building?
Yeah, which I actually didn't know about until later on. They're an adult dental office slash family one. So that's going to be also great for me to refer up to them since I just personally don't love like treating permanent teeth past like a certain point. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm sure that they'll send cases down my way.
Yeah. That's cool. Is there like a non-compete in case there's like another pedo office that wants to open there or no?
Yeah. So when I went through my lease, I basically told the landlord, like, absolutely no other pediatric. And he was like, well, duh, who would be opening up in a medical office? And we're like, listen,
Yeah.
you don't know who's going to try to do that. So, yeah. Because the other thing is that, you know, when you, how do I say this? I also had to be careful about like how I worded it because now people join specialties together. You see orthopeda all the time. So maybe
Hmm.
ortho was going to open, but then they brought on pedo. So how was I going to navigate something like that? I mean, listen, as I was going through this process, if I entered a building, there was a pediatric office like right below me, I would never open. But you just don't know what's going to happen. And my lease is 12 years. I don't want to be waiting around for that long for someone else to open up and ruin my hustle.
Yeah. No, 100%. I get you. Okay. So you're in that real quick. What's next to you? Like what businesses or buildings or locations are next to you?
Trader Joe's.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Okay.
literally right across, like, I could, like, skip down there, like, if I wanted to. Also the inspiration behind doing, like, totes, like, for
Yeah.
my, new patients and kind of, like, my marketing, like, tools, figured you need a tote. Connecticut that has, like, that bag thing where you have to pay for a bag, so tote your way over to Trader Joe's. Chase is right
Yeah.
there too, right across, like the area where this medical building is like some popular restaurants. Just like it's kind of like a very good center, where like a lot of cars are going to be passing by, like families and all that stuff. So
Okay.
yeah,
You still get like all that traffic. I mean, not like specific foot traffic, like next to like, I don't know, like a grocery store or something, but you know what I mean?
right.
You're still in a
Yeah,
good, I mean, you are kind of technically next to still a grocery store. So it's good.
yeah, yeah. No, totally. And I think like, oh God, I forget like where I heard this from, but people say like when you're doing like reports like for demographics and stuff, like you go check like um these popular big brands, right? Like where did Chipotle open up? Where did Chick-fil-A open up? Like they pay
Mhm.
big money to figure out like, you know, where they should open. It's not like they just choose a random spot and like hope for the best. Like there's a lot of strategy and like things figured out, right? So
Yeah.
why did Trader Joe's open up there? Okay, well let me also open up nearby. But like also in my building, those that pediatric therapy group and also that adult dental group, these are their second locations. This is not
Mhm.
their primary one. So they also chose this for a reason. And they're not originally based in Darien, they're based somewhere else in Connecticut. So if they're also choosing it in the exact same building, why wouldn't I hop onto that as well? There's a reason that they chose it. So yeah, just took all of that into consideration.
So you did that when you were doing the demographics. You're like, okay, let me see who's kind of open around
Yeah,
there.
well, okay, I know this is like I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I really didn't do a demographic report like before going. I I kind of just wanted to I always kind of go back to the brand. Like I just wanted to find a community that would appreciate what I was trying to do.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted it to be I wanted to be in a community that was able to like understand like fun and like kind of like my innovation behind things. You know, there are towns and spaces that are just like not really there for that, and that's totally okay. Um, but I also wanted to find something that had like a really good school system. That was like kind of the other factor. Darien is like the number one school system in Connecticut, and then some of the neighboring towns are as well. So I was just trying to find something that had like all these young families that I knew were going to try to stay in that area because of how good the school system was. And so, yeah, I kind of went and took both of those factors into consideration. And then when I was like kind of like going in the area, I looked into Norwalk, I looked into New Canaan, I looked into stuff. I started like kind of like listing like the pros and cons of each of those areas. And surprisingly, in Darien specifically, there was a lot of like family dentists, but
Hmm.
there was only one pediatric dentist who had been around for a while. And I was like, huh? Like, why is like no one open up here? And when I used to work in Connecticut, like over in Stamford, I kept getting told like from people who are in the area, oh, I wish that like someone would open up. Like I'm tired of like leaving Darien and like having to go 20 minutes over to Stamford and blah blah blah. So took all of that into consideration and like opened up and like I got lucky or I just looked at it differently. But yeah. And then when I did what is that popular site like dentographics or something
Dentographics,
like
yeah.
that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. When I looked at that, whatever that color is that's like meant to be good, it worked out. So I only did that because my friend had paid for it and I was just like, "Oh, can I take a peek? I'm curious."
Yeah.
And so yeah, I got lucky. I just kind of went about it as in like, all right, from a business point of view versus like demographics. Like if I would have opened up in Norwalk, a whole different ball game. There's tons of pediatric dentists there, but once again, they're like a mix of Medicaid PPO and it's just like wasn't the same thing for me. But I also just didn't want to compete against that.
How does Dentographics works? What'd you do?
I think like you put in like your zip code of like where you're trying to open, you put in like a certain radius, and then you kind of put in like um kind of like who is your target audience like in a
Hmm.
way. And so I kind of put all of those like numbers in like about like young families, like spend and all that stuff, and it just kind of came about like what worked well for me. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't really remember too much. My friend is the one who clicked and everything, but
Yeah. Who did
it
everything? Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, no, no, no. That's interesting though, that you kind of, I guess, like reversed engineered it this way. You know what I mean? When it came
Well, I
to
think well, everyone is always they're always talking about demographic reports. And I'm not trying to say that it doesn't matter. Like I'm not trying to open up with like in a town that has like 10 pediatric dentists in it, but that already was probably not going to be where I was going to open up to begin with. So it was just more about like, what did I really want to do? And I just kind of found a place that was a little bit more isolated, and it's worked in my favor so far.
Yeah, it's nice. So then how did you find this location?
Well, that was a process. So I I kept like reading on all these like Facebook groups, like from dentists about like just finding like a local like real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. I personally don't own any real estate property. I've been renting like my entire life. So just even finding like a real estate person was like
Mhm.
hard for me. I just didn't know where to look. I was like Googling online, and it just seemed very overwhelming. Um, and so my cousin had recently moved to and bought a home like in Darien, just like not out of the blue, but like I was like, who was your real estate agent? I'm just like curious if maybe they know of someone. So she put me in contact. Her real estate agent put me in contact with someone who's dealt with commercial real estate in Connecticut, and his name is Christian, but he's never done like healthcare. And I met up with Christian one day, and I kind of told him, hey, this is like the radius I'm looking for. Like from my prior job, like this is like kind of like what my vibes are. I don't really know like all the pockets of this area. Like, can you show me around? So he kind of took me there and was like not really prepared in a way.
Mhm.
He was just like kind of checking on the fly, like what was available through like some real estate app or like whatever. But then this particular medical building, where I'm opening up, he brought me there last. And immediately when we got onto like the premise, I was like, whoa, this is like way more exactly like what I've been looking for. But then when he brought me to the space, we were told that it wasn't available. And I was like, oh, like, are you serious? Like, this is literally perfect. Are you sure? Like there has to be a way. Like, can you let me know like immediately if it doesn't work out? And then like about 3 days later, I got a call from him saying, hey, whatever those negotiations were fell through. It's
Mm.
available now. And I was like, we need to hop on it. Now, everything was happening suddenly, like, really fast, and, like, I hadn't even spoken to lenders, I hadn't, like, done anything, like, I literally was just looking at that point, and, when I was trying to do as much research as possible, but it's, like, hard when you're just kinda getting the same info shared with you all the time, I just, like, noticed there's, like, the LOI, like, the letter of intent that you send to your landlord first with, like, what is like the lowest that you're willing to like get and request.
Mhm.
And there was no strategy talk behind it. There was no like, hey, okay, we need to consider this, we need to consider that. Like he knew him as a complete newbie, and he was just throwing numbers at me, and like I was like, what's an LOI? Well, like what's a TI? Like what's this? What's that? And like there was just no like compassion or empathy for like the fact that I was like a newbie, and I was just like, oh, something's just like not feeling right. Like I just feel this is like a numbers game for him to try to get money off of
Mm.
me. So he was silly. He never made me sign any papers that like said that I was exclusively working with him. So
Mhm.
I kept reading online, like through all these like great dental startups, and CAR kept coming up a lot, like CARR CAR. Um, and so I reached out to them. There was only one agent in Connecticut, and I kind of explained the situation. And she was like, well, you didn't sign any papers. It's really up to you about who you want to work with. Like at the end of the day, you want to feel comfortable. And I was like, quite frankly, like I need someone who has like, because she kept asking these questions. She's like, did they discuss like what your limits are? Did they discuss this? Did they discuss that? And I was like, no, none of this was discussed. And she was like, do you even know if the place is like suitable for like dentistry? Like, can it handle the plumbing? Can it do this? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just assumed the space would be like fabricated for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And she was like, okay, like we need to like get that back down to the basics. And I just felt like so much better after that phone call, because I think it was those questions that like I just needed to be asked to be aware of like how little I knew. And so she had to send basically, I think she gave him a call as well as like a paper saying I was like, she was going to be taking over. And I got like the nastiest text messages, the nastiest like calls from,
Really?
yeah.
Wait,
Like
time
he
out,
was
time
like,
out. Real quick. She's the one who contacted him?
Well, she said, like, she thought it was the more professional thing to do
It
versus,
is.
like,
It is.
yeah. She was like, "Let me just try to explain, like, what's going on," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I won't talk to him, like, I don't know what's professional, like, my dental field handles things maybe differently, I don't know."
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
then
that did not
how
end
long
well.
had it been since you had talked to him? It's been a while, and then she gets that, or he gets that message from her
I
or
think
email.
it was within a week of that LOI discussion.
Oh, oh,
Like,
oh,
it
okay, yeah.
happened, like, kind of quickly, but, like, he just, like, was not helpful, like, at all, like, even after sending that LOI, he was like, "Oh, they came back with this. What do you wanna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like, aren't you supposed to talk about this with me?" So,
Yeah.
anyways, when, her name was Diana, who worked over at Carr. When Diana called Christian, I immediately get these, like, capital letter texts, like, "Do you have a problem with me? Call me immediately. Who the hell is this person that's calling me saying this? Blah, 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 blah." And I was just like, "Christian, I'm sorry. I thought it was appropriate for her to reach out to you, but like, I just don't feel comfortable with us moving forward." He was like, "You never said that you were unhappy with me." And I was like, "You're right. Like, I didn't. I think it was just I'm very overwhelmed right now. And I realized I really want someone who has like more of a healthcare expertise to help me." And he was like, "This is not how you get it done in the real estate. Like, do you realize what you're doing? Like, blah, 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 blah." Like, to the point that I was like, "Christian, if you don't leave me alone, I'm gonna block you." Or like he kept on going. Then I was like, "I'm gonna involve a lawyer for harassment if you keep on like bothering me." Like he was nonstop. And then that I apparently he had some friendship or relationship with like the landlord.
Mhm.
And he was, like, threatening that he was going to make it so that, like, I couldn't work there. I don't know, just, like, going nuts. Like, he just, like, lost it, and clearly, like, not handled professionally. I get being angry at me. I 100% see that, but whew, that was not handled right. To the point that the landlord had to call me and be like, "Ignore him. He's just being a baby. I've known him for a long time. I don't know why he's doing this. It's inappropriate. Like, we would want you here in the space." Like you fit into like blah blah blah. And we had a really good discussion, which made me feel a lot better, at least about like moving forward over there.
Mhm.
And then I kind of continued the process with Car.
And that's the place you're in right now. The landlord who contacted you, who now
Yeah,
is you're probably gonna sue. And
yeah, I know, right?
that guy.
I feel so
Okay.
bad. Genuinely
Gotcha.
such a nice person. Like I think when you meet with him one on one, but as a landlord, not so much.
Man, that's crazy. It's like
Yeah.
as if oh, you convinced me. You're right. I should go with you now that you're yelling at me. What?
Yeah, yeah. It was just like, since when did like yelling at me ever gonna like convince me of like wanting to work with you anymore?
Did you ever get a phone call with him or not?
I know I blocked him. 'Cause,
Oh
like, he kept on
man.
going, and I was just like, "I can't take this anymore." Like, I'm just blocking him,
What were
and if
like
he
the
needs
last things he said?
oh, I don't even remember. I just remember it
Uh,
was all in capital letters.
really,
Yeah,
man. And
yeah.
so you told this to what's the car real estate realtor's name?
Diana.
Diana?
Mhm.
Did you tell this to Diana?
Yeah, she
What?
knew 'cause she before moving forward with Christian, she also contacted, like, her boss and, like, their legal just to make sure that they weren't stepping on any toes or doing anything that was, like, inappropriate within their field. So she knew of all these, like, text exchange or like all of that sort of stuff. I was just kind of keeping her in the loop. And she was like, just ignore him. She like apparently, I guess with Car, you don't pay money to like work with them. You don't owe anything. They get like a certain percentage from the landlord. There's like something like figured out. Whatever her commission was going to be from me signing these papers and moving forward, she was willing to give up part of her percentage and give it to Christian.
Are you
Like,
serious?
yeah, for showing me the space first, quote unquote, but he was, like, not taking it, so I don't know what
What?
he did from it, but yeah.
Way to go, Diana. Like she's
Yeah,
really, you know what I mean? Like on it. I would have been like, nope, never, ever,
yeah,
ever
no,
giving
she
you.
handled it so professionally, so, yeah, it's unfortunate.
Wow. What's your name? Diana
Diana Hart.
Hart? She still works for Car?
Yeah, yeah, she's the only as far as I know, she's still the only Connecticut agent.
So you don't know how much it costs then, do you?
What?
How much like, or I guess the
She
landlord takes up. Yeah. How much did she like you, how much you paid her kind of thing?
no, no idea.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I'm, like, curious, I'm, like based off of, like, what I see on reality TV, like, when I watch, like, the selling sunset and stuff. I'm like, oh, what's your commission?
Silly sunset. This is true. Okay. Got you. No, that's interesting. Okay. So then I know they say when you're looking for a location, you got to think about your community, like you said, right? What kind of
Mhm.
patients do you want and stuff like that? Did you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think you just constantly have to keep looking at like what is like your 10-year goal, like with the
Mhm.
office. And like for me, it wasn't volume. Like I just personally don't have that physical energy to be able to like handle volume after volume. So I wanted to find a community that was going to be able to have the PPOs, just through like working in like kind of like businesses and stuff, or eventually if I ever did go out of network, possibly being able to afford it or like value that type of care. And so mixing in the fact that Darien has like the number one school system in Connecticut, like people were going to try to stay in the area. And I think with kind of like with your pets, you'll do anything like for your kids if you're able to show like a good experience. So I just wanted to be in an area that would have appreciated whatever direction I decide to go in the future.
Yeah. Are you planning to get into these schools?
Yeah, I am going to be in one school next year, a preschool, which is great. They're finishing off a contract with like someone right now, and then I'm going to be taking over, and then I'm going to try to slowly get in a little bit. It's a little bit hard, just with like people already having years and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, there's other ways that I can also try to get into these parents. I don't technically have to be through the schools. I can
Yeah.
like, you just have to think outside the box. It's not like the only way. So it's like maybe I can like sponsor an art class like at the local thing or sponsor a nature walk, or maybe there's an activity that like I get to be there for and like kind of teach things. Like there's just you just have to kind of find something, and schools aren't always it, but I'm going to definitely try to dip my toes into it.
How'd you get into preschool?
Um through my cousin.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah. That one I got just solely because of her involvement like in the school. And they just happened to be finding someone for next year, and she was like, "Oh, my cousin." And so yeah.
So this dentist right now, or this pediatric practice that's in the school for this year, what are they doing? Like they're just,
I'm not sure. I don't think it's even a pediatric dentist from my understanding. Like I didn't ask who it was. I felt it was just probably better for me not to have like that knowledge. But from what I'm understanding, it's definitely not a pediatric dentist. It's just like a general dentist.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
which is
Gotcha.
like a
Gotcha.
little, but once again, like Darien only has that one pediatric dentist. So maybe they just haven't had the people who have been able to like go in and
Yeah.
like do it. So yeah.
Do you, you know, we roll with the pediatric dental marketing course, right? Or no?
Yeah, I signed up.
You did. You
Yeah,
did. I was like,
yes, I did.
okay. So then I was gonna say, you kind of already know how to get in and everything.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just like the scripts and everything that you had shared and stuff.
How come you're never in office hours?
Huh?
How come you're never in the
Because I was
office?
always working when you offered.
Oh, I was like, your site. Oh yeah. Dang, I put you out. Okay, never mind. Forget that. Okay, we'll talk about that in a later episode. Right now, with your practice, how's the parking situation looking like?
Amazing. Like honestly, it's amazing. Like I think they just so what's really cool about this like particular property or this medical building, they actually have two buildings that are right next to each other, and they own like basically a lot of like space around those buildings, and they made it all into parking. So like I do not foresee it being an issue at all. They have extra parking, in fact.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if
So
you
there's
are
no
able,
issue.
no. So like if you ever see like images like of my space like through some of the promos that like we put out, that's just like the initial parking, but there's like much more space even like behind the building.
So it's not because there's a lot of, I guess, practices or yeah, in the medical plaza, right? Or in the medical building. It's not like a
Yeah.
place or a thing where it's like, oh, it's gonna cap out because there's
Mhm.
everybody's.
No, there was a chance that they didn't have that extra space, but they do, so I'm not concerned.
Is there extra space in that building for more? Or is it like maybe two more people can only have a practice there and that's
So
it?
all the units like that are rentable, as far as I know, have been built out. I think I'm the
Ah,
last one to probably officially really move in.
nice. So you got in there already. How much is rent again?
35 per square foot with a dollar increase every year.
So that's how much a month?
like around 7,000 something.
7,000. And then we'll
But
talk about overhead.
yeah, but it's like good though because like you also this was like the discussion that I was having with Car because in my mind I was like 7,000 like oh my god. Um but like it's not just like you can't just think in like first year. You always have to keep thinking like in that 10-year track. So
Mm.
she was like you're only increasing $1 like per year and there's a fixed electric, which is big. Like I'm not paying like an electric bill. Like there's all those like little factors that you have to take into consideration. So there were other properties that were like say $28, but then I didn't have the parking. I didn't have like all these other things that like are assets for me that I could even market. Like I could even say in like one of my Facebook ads, you'll be able to find parking if you come and see me. Don't worry, we got you.
Yeah.
I'm in a caravan.
Yeah.
Like
No, you're right. You're right.
so
And
like there's like all those like points that really come into play. So like what is the value of your dollar? And like the value is definitely there. There's elevators, there's space, there's modernist,
mm,
there's like all of that that just I wasn't getting for cheaper rent elsewhere.
yeah, dude, fixed electricity.
Yeah,
That's like a winner right there. Like,
yeah, massive,
oops,
massive.
I left the light on all night. Oh wow. You know what I mean? You're not like stressing out or anything.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So like there are those like perks for it.
If this location didn't work out, what was your second option?
I was gonna go back to the drawing board. I was not willing to open up like anytime soon if I didn't find a space I fell in love with.
There was no other like option B.
No, I didn't find something I really liked. Like, I was like, you're okay." Like, it was just I think at least of where I'm opening up in Connecticut, there's not a lot of, like, new buildings. There's, like, not a lot of, like, renovations or anything, so a lot of these spaces are, like, old, and they come with, like, issues, and
Mm.
I was just, like, not really wanting that, and I just would have waited. I would have, like, just waited to try to find another space and maybe even, like, considered, like, a few miles, like, away from, like, where I was currently opening, but I was just, like, unwilling to kind of move into subpar. Like, where I'm taking out all this money, I'm doing all these loans, like, I wanna be doing all of this in a space that I'm actually happy with,
Yeah.
not just for the sake of, like, opening because I wanna open up by 2023.
Yeah. A lot of people kind of do. That's good though. That's good that you're taking it like, you know what I mean? At
Yeah,
your pace.
yeah, I didn't have, like, a timeline on all this, I just knew I wanted to open up something, and I felt like it should be opening up in a way that I'm, like, happy with each step. But I know, like, everyone's situation is different, it just happened so that that was my philosophy.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Would you, because I hear this or I see this a lot in Facebook groups, or just anywhere in forums, but like about car realty, right?
Mhm.
And I've had Colin on before in the past talking about his realty, right? Or yeah, that stuff. But would you recommend them?
Yeah, I mean, my experience with at least Diana has been, like, really good. Um, I just came from, like, knowing absolutely nothing, and, like, she was just able to talk things out with me, and, like, there was a lot of frustration during our lease negotiations, like, she also had her issues, like, with my landlord, and I should really, like, just probably quickly say, like, my landlord is not, like, just, like, an individual, he's a partner in a firm. So we're
Mhm.
dealing with him as the individual that's representing, like, the firm. So, when I'm saying, like, landlord, I'm actually probably, like, just very annoyed with the firm versus, like,
Mhm.
him as an individual. So they were coming at it a lot of times as, like, consultants or, like, financial people, and, like, that's, like, where we were butting heads, like, for quite some time. Like, it almost took, like, 4 or 5 months just to go through all these negotiations. Like, it was a lot. But Diana was, like, just very patient. I could tell towards the end she was definitely getting frustrated and just wanted these papers signed. But yeah.
How
She as an individual was a very good support.
how could you tell that she was getting frustrated?
I think after working with her for as many months as I have, like, I just picked up on frustration in her voice and tone, and just, like, it wasn't against me per se, I think it was just, like, the process of, like, I just like, I'm so over this, this has been the most annoying lease negotiations, like, that I've had to work on and blah, 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 so
Uh, no, but she did it. She made it happen though,
she made
right?
it happen, yeah, I mean, I appreciated her, like, I knew I kept having to, like, skip over the fact that I'm dealing with these guys and just be like, "Okay, once I get through this, I'm gonna have my space and like it's my business. But like, yeah, it was just not as fun of a process as I'm sure
Oh,
she's had it in the past with others.
yeah, no, I get you. Awesome. All righty, Naomi. So then what's next?
So, now that the office is set to open in 1 month, I have to keep looking at micro stuff now. So I'm getting all my onboarding scheduled with like I'm working with Unlock the PPO for like my
Mm,
insurance credentialing, getting that in order, working with Casper, getting that training there, getting open dental training. I've hired like my first um full time. She's going to be like a mix of a front desk assistant as we like kind of like navigate what's going on. Um, but she's gonna probably be starting training like next week. I'm working with HR for health, like finishing up the handbook this week, and we're gonna get a contract out for her. So like while I was in Mexico, all of this is getting figured out. But it's exciting. So now it's just like getting kind of like the micro stuff. And I think what I'm mostly excited about is I finally have someone who's going to also be physically in the space with me, and we can like kind of figure out the systems and like the scripts and like okay, uh, these are the office tools I think we need. Do you need anything specifically? Let's go get those staplers, post-its, and like all that sort of stuff. Like just all of those like simple little things. I still have to order my own desk.
oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
know, like those little details. Like I got the dining table, I got, the chairs. Like I'm trying to I also don't want to order too much. Like so I don't have a lot of stuff in the waiting room right now. I'd rather like that get built out over the next like couple of months, just to
Mhm.
kind of see how the kids are reacting to the space. And then, yeah, I'm considering putting like sensory boards and all that stuff. So just like a lot of like figuring out those like little details. And I think that's the part that's overwhelming because sometimes like when you're looking at those details, it's hard to see the bigger picture, but I'll get there. I'll get there.
How, no, I mean, how, I guess not organized, but like engineer mindset, or I guess organized, would you say you are, where you're like, okay, this is going to be here, here, and then you have a Google sheet. You know how you people like download like a Microsoft Excel or Google sheet, and then they've like do the formula. How organized would you say you are?
I'm not like that. I think if I'm that type A, like it's gonna stress me out more. So I have overarching ideas and I create to-do lists. So like I have like an ongoing to-do list of like what's urgent that needs to be done. And like it's on my notes, like on my laptop. And like all the onboardings I have to schedule. And I think that's what kind of is keeping my sanity going. Um, but I really love interior design. Like I love like choosing the right furniture. I don't want to just like choose something off of Amazon just because it's like there.
Mhm.
So I think that interest of mine is probably what's causing me to be a little bit pickier about what I'm bringing into the space. So that's my own fault, but
That's good. That's good. Like I feel like I'm trying to become like that engineering, but I'm the same as you. Like even in the middle of the night, I'll write like my to-do list is like forever long,
yes, yes.
and I'll just put like an
It's like
emoji
never
off the one I did or something. You're like, which emoji do I want? Kind of thing.
I put like a little smiley face.
And then this one
Yay.
was tough. I'll put a tough emoji or something. I'm like, oh, and that was like I'm productive, but oh well.
And like,
Yeah.
I think actually what's been really cool during this process is like, I realize how unorganized I am because like I didn't have like all my passwords in one place. I didn't have all like my paperwork for like my licensing and all like whatever else like everyone needs from me. Like I didn't have it in one place. And so now I'm just trying to like do these things. And even like for example, my website developer Josh, uses Notion, which I don't know if you've used it before, but like it's great for like note taking and like productivity, and it's really well known in like kind of like the tech creative space for like organization and like all of this stuff. And you can share these like pages, these Notion pages, like with your team, and just seeing the way he operates and like how he's able to be so seamless and on point and like this, I'm like, I want to be like that. Like I was like inspired and like I all these people who like are not in like this dental space that I'm like working with or talking with, they're all very similar on that front and I'm like, "What?" Like I'm so inspired and then like I try to go even just get that going and then I get overwhelmed and I'm like, "Forget it."
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know Josh now through LinkedIn. So we've talked like a couple
Ooh.
times, and even his LinkedIn posts, I'm like, how does That's nice. The outline and everything. Like, how do you do that, man? I don't know. He looks like he has that engineer mindset. You know what I mean? Like that.
Totally, totally. Like he is just like, it's so interesting working with people who can be so like streamlined. And like it just fascinates me. Like I'm so amazed by like how they're able to operate, and I'm just like so inspired, but my headspace just doesn't work in
I
that same
know.
like mechanical sort of way. But yeah, I wish I would.
We'll get there, Naomi. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
planning on it.
Yeah, one of these days. Awesome. All right. So we're excited to hear the next episode, but sign us out.
Well, this is Naomi with Little Dente, and I can't wait for more of making of.
What's your social media credit? Give us the
God, I
socials.
always forget this. Okay. The offices is Little Dente Smiles. Go follow us. We're gonna start posting like some really fun things. And then my personal one is Dr. Naomi Sedani.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you in the next episode.
All right, bye.